The phone buzzed on the nightstand, a sharp vibration cutting through the stillness of the bedroom like a knife through silk. I froze, my hand hovering over the screen, the glow casting jagged shadows across my knuckles. Her name, Lila, blinked up at me, and my chest tightened, not with warmth but with a sudden inexplicable dread. The message was short, too casual for 2:37 a.m. Going on a last-minute trip with Jake. Don't be jealous. I'll call you tomorrow. My thumb hovered, trembling, as the words seared into my brain. Jake. Her ex. The one she swore was just a friend now. The air felt thick, like I was breathing through wet cotton, and the room spun slightly as I read the text again, searching for a meaning that didn't gut me. I sank onto the edge of the bed, the springs creaking under my weight, and stared at the phone as if it might explain itself. The apartment was too quiet, the kind of quiet that amplifies every thought into a scream. Lila's perfume lingered on the pillow beside me, a faint trace of jasmine and something sharper, like regret. I wanted to laugh it off. Don't be jealous, as if jealousy was the only thing clawing at my insides. Doubt, betrayal, and a sickening curiosity twisted together, forming a knot I couldn't untangle. Why Jake? Why now? And why the hell was she texting me this in the middle of the night, like it was normal to jet off with an ex? My fingers typed a reply before my brain could catch up. Okay, have fun. Call me when you're back. I hit send, and immediately regretted it. Too calm, too weak. I should have demanded answers, should have called her right then, but the thought of her voice, bright, deflecting, maybe lying, made my stomach lurch. Instead, I sat there, the phone heavy in my hand, replaying the last 6 months of our relationship like a detective scouring for clues. The late-night work calls, the way her smile faltered when I asked about her day, the weekends she spent catching up with old friends. Each memory felt like a pinprick, small but cumulative, drawing blood I hadn't noticed until now. The next morning, I woke to sunlight slicing through the blinds, harsh and unforgiving. My phone was silent, no missed calls, no follow-up texts. Just that single message, taunting me. I dragged myself to the kitchen, the linoleum cold against my bare feet, and made coffee I didn't drink. The mug sat on the counter, steam curling upward like a question mark. I kept picturing Lila and Jake together, laughing, touching, sharing a history I could never compete with. Jake, with his easy grin and broad shoulders, the guy she'd dated for 3 years before me. She told me their breakup was mutual, that they'd grown apart, but now I wondered if that was just a story she told to keep me from asking too much. I checked her social media, hating myself for it. Her ex profile was quiet, no new posts, but Jake had shared a photo of a sunset over a beach, caption chasing horizons. My jaw clenched. Was that where they were? Some tropical escape, sand between their toes, while I sat here drowning in my own imagination. I slammed the phone down, the crack of plastic against wood echoing in the empty apartment. I needed to move, to do something, anything, to stop the spiral. But every step felt like wading through molasses, heavy with the weight of what I didn't want to believe. By noon, I couldn't take it anymore. I called her. The phone rang 5 times before going to voicemail, her voice bright and teasing. Hey, it's Lila. Leave a message, and maybe I'll call you back. I hung up, my pulse hammering in my ears. I tried again an hour later, same result. The silence was louder than any answer she could have given. I paced the living room, the rug worn thin under my feet, and tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe Jake needed her help, some crisis only she could fix. But the excuses felt flimsy, like paper dissolving in rain. That evening, I found myself at the bar where we'd had our first date. The neon sign buzzed faintly, casting a red glow over the chipped wooden tables. I ordered a whiskey, the burn in my throat a distraction from the ache in my chest. The bartender, a guy with a graying beard and tired eyes, slid a napkin my way. Rough day? He asked, his voice gravelly but kind. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. The truth was, I didn't know what I was feeling, anger, sadness, or something uglier, like the need to prove I wasn't a fool. My phone buzzed again, and my heart lurched. Another text from Lila. Having a blast. Miss you. Attached was a photo of her on a beach, her hair wild in the wind, her smile wide but unreadable. No Jake in the frame, but the absence felt deliberate, like she was curating what I saw. I stared at the photo, my thumb tracing the curve of her face on the screen. She looked happy, but it wasn't the happiness we shared. It was something distant, something I wasn't part of. I typed a reply, deleted it, typed another. Finally, I settled on, "Looks fun. Where are you?" I waited, the whiskey souring in my stomach, but no response came. The next 2 days were a blur of sleepless nights and obsessive thoughts. I checked her location on an app we'd shared for safety, disabled. I called mutual friends, casually fishing for information, but no one knew anything. Or if they did, they weren't telling. By the 3rd day, I was a wreck, my eyes bloodshot, my apartment a mess of takeout containers and unwashed dishes. I kept replaying her text, those 3 words, "Don't be jealous," like a mantra that mocked me. Jealousy was the least of it. It was the not knowing, the slow erosion of trust, that was killing me. On the 4th day, she called. I was in the shower, the water scalding my skin, when the phone rang. I scrambled out, dripping, and answered before it could go to voicemail. "Hey," she said, her voice bright but strained, like she was forcing it. "I'm back. Where were you?" I asked, my voice sharper than I meant it to be. "Jake needed to get away," she said too quickly. "His mom's sick and he didn't want to be alone. I was just being a friend." My grip tightened on the phone. "A friend?" I repeated, the word tasting bitter. "You couldn't tell me that before you left?" "I didn't think you'd care this much," she said, and there it was, a flicker of defensiveness, a crack in her story. We argued, our voices rising, hers pleading, mine accusing. She swore nothing happened, that it was just a trip, just support for an old friend. But her explanations were too polished, too rehearsed, and I could hear the lie in the spaces between her words. That night, I drove to her place uninvited. The street was dark, the air heavy with the threat of rain. I knocked, and when she opened the door, her eyes widened, not with guilt, but with something closer to pity. "You shouldn't be here," she said softly, but she let me in. The apartment smelled like her, like us, but it felt foreign now, like a stage set for someone else's life. On the coffee table, I saw it, a plane ticket stub, not one but 2 tucked under a magazine. Her name and Jake's side by side, to a resort in Cancun. I held the stubs up, my hands shaking. "Just friends?" I asked, my voice breaking. Her face crumpled, and for the first time, she didn't have an answer. Tears welled in her eyes, but they weren't for me. They were for herself, for being caught. "It wasn't supposed to mean anything," she whispered, and that was worse than any confession. It wasn't love, it wasn't passion. It was carelessness, a betrayal so casual it cut deeper than any grand affair. I left without another word, the stubs crumpled in my fist. The rain started as I drove away, blurring the city lights into streaks of red and gold. I didn't know where I was going, only that I couldn't go back. Not to her, not to the life we'd built on a foundation of half-truths. The phone buzzed again, her name, her apology, but I let it ring, the sound fading into the storm. I wasn't ready to forgive, and maybe I never would be. But in that moment, speeding through the rain, I felt something new. Not relief, not closure, but the raw, jagged edge of freedom.